Yo guys, what's up? It's 100 here. Welcome to my review of chapter 264 of Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yo, is that Ricardo again?
Wait, 100, wait, it's Noah that looks
Ain't
like.
Noah tell you what was gonna happen if we saw you again?
Noah's here too. Guys, come
Ricardo, get lost. I told you what would happen if we saw you again.
Donald Trump?
Yes, nigga,
Trump?
it is.
No,
Now
chill,
catch these hands.
Yo, you're not on the wrong channel. I'm just here to say,
If you want to join an anime community with over 3,000 members, me, Noah, 100, and Staying Anti made a Discord server called The Collaboration where we're making the biggest anime community possible. Discord.gg/The Collaboration. Link is at the top of the description. Maybe, probably. I don't know, it's not my video.
I'm gonna make this quick, but yeah, shout out to Noah, Ricardo, and Anti. Y'all know I can't run a server, I don't got the time, so them doing this for me is a big solid. With that said, I value the time of both you and I, so let's get into this video. As the light of judgment crashes down on Sukuna, we see the reactions of both YUJI and Todo. Sukuna instantly reacting and taking advantage of the Jacob's Ladder in any way he can, punches toward the ground as the beam of light crashes down. The combined shockwave of the two attacks causes debris to fly all the way up toward Angel. Sukuna then uses this debris to jump from rock to rock, getting closer and closer to Angel in order to stop her technique. And Angel's just like, oh shit. And we get into Sukuna's thoughts soon after seeing Angel's reaction, as he says that, unlike in Okotsu's domain where he could select the technique's target, this Jacob's Ladder will hit Todo Aoi and the Brat too. If I scale the Pillar of Light, I'll be able to reach the Angel without any interference. And then, Angel tells her vessel to fall back, but it's way too late. It's then shown that Sukuna has managed to scale the entire Jacob's Ladder before Hana can even begin to retreat, and he then points out the reasoning behind this. They're coexisting within that body, so you are nothing but a strong technique in a weak shell. Losing one of their arms makes this fact even more true. They are not able to garner the same exact curse energy output that they once had. This is in reference to their initial fight all the way back in chapter 213, when Sukuna had first taken over Megumi's body and Hana shot that crazy Jacob's Ladder that damn near killed him. This also confirms that this Jacob's Ladder is much weaker than the one that Yuta had used way back in chapter 251, so it wasn't going to get the job done. One last thing I want to mention is that Sukuna does confirm that Jacob's Ladder would have hurt YUJI and Todo as well, so for those who believe that Jacob's Ladder only works on those who are not evil, I guess that's not the case. As we continue to fight, after Sukuna manages to catch Hana off guard, he thinks to himself that before he's torn from Megumi's body, he will be ending Angel's life. But that's when we see movement from below. Sukuna lands a black flash, but it's not on Hana, it's Todo. Apparently, he intercepted the black flash in order to protect her. This makes Sukuna praise him, saying that this man is a Jujutsu sorcerer to his very core. And after that attack lands, Todo is sent flying through two buildings and is left in a crater alongside Hana, and they are in horrible condition. Sukuna thinks to himself, saying that those two are out of commission and I can finish off Angel later. The only one standing now is YUJI Itadori, and yes, we are finally getting the one-on-one. We then see YUJI pull up out of the Jacob's Ladder and prepares a fist, and Sukuna says that he chased after me within the light despite it burning him. YUJI then lands a punch, dives below Sukuna, grabs to both of his legs, and plummets him toward a building. And as Sukuna crashes through the building, he slides out with ease, but he still notices something. YUJI had come from above in order to use cleave on his head, but he manages to cartwheel out of the way. And as he does a handstand in front of YUJI, he launches a couple of dismantles, and then a fist flies right in YUJI's face. Sukuna lands another punch, and it's then shown that, unleashing yet another black flash, the King of Curses was able to regain his reverse curse technique at last. Sukuna has finally recovered. A worst case scenario has just come to fruition. YUJI goes in to strike Sukuna, but Sukuna manages to grab one of his arms, and he begins to say that there is no need for me to make any risky moves like I forced Gojo to in our battle. And he goes on to punch YUJI a couple of times as YUJI manages to block it with his other arm that's free. And then Sukuna goes in for a double haymaker using two of his arms and punches YUJI right into his left knee and sends dude flying. But we know Yuji can pretty much eat any attack and keep fighting, so he instantly responds by using cleave on the floor in order to mess up Sukuna's footing. And he sees the opportunity to try and land a direct strike with his dismantles, but Sukuna manages to easily dodge it and says that the dismantle that only targets the barrier between his and Megumi's souls is a lethal technique to someone who's incarnated from the past. Maybe this applies to Ryu, Kashimo, characters like that, who knows. Sukuna goes on to grab Yuji with one arm and punch him with the other, and he says that if this technique doesn't land, then it's meaningless. It's not as big of a deal as he believes it to be. So basically, after regenerating, they can't touch Sukuna and they're gonna lose. At least, that's what he believed. As we see a shocked expression from Sukuna, we head into a flashback from way back when Gojo first fought Jogo. And we see him say that it expends a lot of cursed energy, but it has its merits. First off, you get a stat boost due to the change in environment, sort of like a buff from video games. And also, cursed techniques imbued within a domain are guaranteed to hit. And at this moment, we see Yuji say, domain expansion. Through switch training with Asuya Kusakabe, Yuji Todori has learned the fundamentals of barrier techniques. After seeing Sukuna's expression, he states, "What is this?" We see Yuji walk up towards Sukuna and he tells him to come on, let's go. And Sukuna just stares at Yuji shocked, and this chapter comes to a close. Man, I ain't even gonna beat around the bush. When I first saw this chapter, I was hitting the nay like Mike Epps in the middle of the night. I don't know how long I waited for this moment. You know what I'm saying? We got Yuji versus Sukuna now. All these other people out the way. Because when it comes to Yuji, I don't care about them. I'm not gonna lie. And then Yuji doing the domain expansion? Yo, I don't know if it's just recency bias. Y'all let me know down below if I'm just too excited about this chapter. But I think it might be the best chapter in the Shinjuku Showdown. It was just that good. Maybe not better than 236, but I can see people saying this is the best chapter of the arc. And I can be like, okay, yeah, I get it. I also like the beatdown Sukuna gave to Yuji at the end. It's not because like I'm a big Sukuna fan or anything, but I don't know. It just seems really fitting for the final battle. Something like this always has to happen in a final battle where things just are horrible. Like, worst thing possible. And I did want to see an instance where Yuji and Sukuna are just fighting and Sukuna's beating the crap out of Yuji, because I'm not a sadist, but if you notice, anytime Yuji and Sukuna had a one-on-one, Sukuna didn't really do much to Yuji. Like, it never seemed like we saw Sukuna's strength in the battle. It was always a showcase of Yuji, or they'd be interrupted almost instantly. I do also believe that Yuji had always had the domain expansion. He was just saving it for the end as his own last resort trump card thingy, because again, he learned it through switch training with Kusakabe. And the tone of the scene insinuates that, like, yeah, this is what Sukuna gets for underestimating Yuji at this moment, since he's shocked right after he's like, I have nothing to worry about. Of course, I'm gonna speak about Maki again, and you know, everybody's wondering where she's at this point, because she's usually just popped back up after some time has passed in these fights. But I do think that Maki, when she got hit by the dismantle in 256, it just took her out of the fight completely. I believe this without a doubt, because she was saying that, yeah, Sukuna's recovering his output. It wasn't fully recovered, obviously, but in the last 10 chapters, that was certainly the hardest hitting dismantle that we've seen. Because the chapter before that, it would end with Sukuna getting a black flash and everybody being like, oh yeah, he's ramping up. And then Sukuna would land another black flash on Maki before shooting the dismantle, then land another on Choso, which kind of put the both of them out of the fight. They were both knocked out and had not been seen on the battlefield since, until Choso would have to save Yuji, and then Maki would need to be saved by Miwa. And then after Sukuna goes on his rampage in 256 and just turns up, Yuji comes in, LaRue comes in, they happen to land the black flash, and then Yuji goes on the chain of black flashes right after, bringing Sukuna back down to a reasonable level. I think for that little brief period of time in 256, he was just very strong. That's also why we had 5 to 6 people fighting him at once. The only time we had that many people fighting against him was at the very beginning, when he had only just fought Kashimo and Gojo. So he had gas in him then, and he had gas in him now. I do think those 2 points of the fight was when Sukuna was really like at his strongest, except for obviously now in this chapter where he's been able to recover all of his physical attributes, his arms, his chanting, etc. I do have to give props to Todo, man. Like, Todo is on his own level. For chapter to feats, if you compare the two, I think Todo has been the most efficient character throughout the entire series. Like, every chapter, Todo has a game-changing moment that saves the entire world. It's crazy. Todo might be one of my favorites, like, when it specifically comes to combat. He's just a GOAT. But I am gonna say, Gege, keep this man out the rest of the fight in the series. Tired of editing his fights, man. I be getting confused. It be too much swapping. I gotta go crazy. I love you, Todo, but man, thank God you're out the fight. With that said, I'm gonna wrap up the review here, man. This is a game-changing chapter. I'm telling y'all, I'm not lying. When I was hitting the folks at 1 a.m. at night, it's golden. With that said, thank you for watching the review. As always, guys, I always appreciate the support. I'll stress this over and over. It means the world to me. And I'm gonna catch y'all in the next one. Peace out.